Walk with me to the window. What do you see? Do you see blue skies with pillow like clouds in them? The greenness of the grass? Or do you notice the ever growing trees? Well, I'll tell you what I see. I continue to see people on the ground asking for help while others walk on by. Introducing the bystander effect. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the channel. We're going to jump right into things. So, on this whiteboard, I have the definition of the bystander effect. Now, if y'all want to read, write it to yourselves, do whatever so y'all can retain the information. Here's y'all chance. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so with that out the way, let's do this. So the bystander effect is a phenomenon in which the inhibiting/hold influences of the presence of others on a person's willingness to help someone in need. Now, what does that mean? I know I ran through it pretty quick, but hold up, I got you guys. No sweat. All right. Or, now this is my personal definition. I'm gonna do the same thing. You guys read, write, whatever y'all need to do. 3, 2, 1. All right. Sorry for anybody who didn't get that down, but here we go. So my personal definition is when in public, always, and I underlined it, always to show its significance. I repeat, always. When in public, assume no one around you is going to save your life. Alright, so now that you guys know the definition of what the bystander effect is, let me go over 3 possible reasons, at least according to the research, why it is thought that most people engage in such phenomena. The first one being fear. Before I get into that, let me say again, I'm sorry for the handwriting, but I hope you guys can read this. So fear, in parentheses, too weak, because most people believe that they are too weak to handle someone else's concerns. They assume that if they go up there, they're not going to be able to solve the problem. So that's number 1. Also, side note, the fear of embarrassment. Because if you go up there and everybody's watching and you don't come out some hero, then everybody looks at you funny. So 2, misunderstanding the context. And what I mean by that is you might see somebody on the ground and you think they need help when in reality they do not. They might be doing it to pull some prank for a YouTube sketch, for a TikTok, so they might not be in any danger at all. Or they might be in danger, but they're not in as much danger as you might perceive them to be. For example, they're on the ground, they have a little bump on their head, and you may assume that, oh, they need to go to the doctor's or the hospital, when in reality, they're telling you like, oh no, I'm okay. It's just a little bump. So that's number 2. And number 3, last but not least, thinking that if you intervene, now your life is in danger, which is pretty self-explanatory. However, most people also have that mentality of, oh, if I help out, am I going to get hurt? Like, if they're in serious danger, am I putting my life at risk at catching whatever they have? Or they might be flaring, or not flaring, but like moving their limbs about in an unstable manner, and it might hit me. I might get seriously hurt. And I don't want to do that. Or side note, it might be, oh, if I go up there and I don't help them, then I'm held responsible. And so most people don't help for any of these 3 reasons. Right. Okay, so now since you guys now know the 3 reasons most thought of why people engage in a phenomenon, you might be like, hey, that describes me. So how would I go about circumventing that the next time I see someone in need. Now, I will tell you. Well, on this board right here, I have 3 reasons how someone can become what is known as an active bystander. Now, an active bystander is simply someone who takes control of the situation and goes into action mode, basically, instead of just standing around watching the person that's in need. So, going back to the 3 ways one can become an active bystander is 1. Say phrases such as stop or help is on the way to prevent any further harm to either you, someone else, or the person in need. 2 is speak in a calm but firm voice. And lastly, 3 is give directions to others, such as go get the first aid kit or the defibrillator machine or whatever is in the facility that's available. Say things like, hey, I need help moving this person to a certain position, moving this person to the ambulance, closer to the ambulance, whatever you may think that might help the individual in that time of need, which also goes into the seek assistance if needed, which is why I group those 2 together, because they go hand in hand. You can't do everything yourself. You're only one individual with 2 hands. If you need to stay with the person in need, but the first aid or the defibrillator is across the room or across the street, you're going to need somebody else. So that's why you give directions, but also don't be afraid to ask someone else to help. Alright, those are the 3 things that one does to become an active bystander. Now, before I get into my last segment, I want to say thank you all for listening this long, but also, if you have listened this long, maybe you like what I'm going over, you like the kind of content this is, or you just like my personality in general. Therefore, please consider watching my other videos, subscribing to my channel, liking my content, and sharing my content with anyone, which is the most important thing to me because I want everyone possible to hear the message that I have to say. But yeah, thank you. And on to my last segment. Hey, so for my last segment of the video, I wanted to give you guys a real life example of the bystander effect in action via storytelling. Therefore, let's begin. So this was about maybe 3-4 years ago at this point. We go to Myrtle Beach. Me and my family, we go to Myrtle Beach every year. And this year we had went. We were swimming, or they have a pool, so we went to the pool. I don't know how to swim. I can like doggy paddle, basically barely swim, but I can't really swim. So there's like most pools, there's a deep end and there's a shallow end. I usually stay at the shallow end. I'm tall enough to go like all the way to the end of the shallow end, but like I can't go past the line or I'm gonna drown. However, every now and again, I'll jump into the deep end and like somebody will help me get to, not drown. So this year, my mom and my sister and everybody was like, all right, Elijah, you should jump in deep end. We got you. And, I was feeling safe, secure. Like, my family's my rock. They got my back regardless. So I went for it. I jumped. However, my mom and everybody thought I was just going to do a little jump. However, I felt so secure, confident. I took a run. I went back and got a running start, and I jumped in the middle. And so when I had jumped, everybody didn't know I was going to jump so far, so I started drowning. And while I was drowning, my mom was helping me, but I was like in the fight or flight mode, so I was kicking my mom away. Thankfully, we didn't drown because my mom mustered enough strength to get herself out and me out. However, where the bystander effect comes into play is, since it was a public hotel pool, you can imagine there was a lot of people around. Like, the pool was packed because it was the middle of the day. However, while it was packed, according to my sisters and everybody and my brother-in-law who was not in the pool, and according to us, me and my mom, who were in the pool, still drowning and continuing to drown, no one around the pool had came to help. No one at all. Everybody just looked at us, and I don't know what, because we were drowning, but basically they didn't help. And I don't know if it was because one of the 3 reasons I had listed previously that they didn't help, but that's a real life example of the bystander effect. Like, it happens. Because even me, you learn about it. I learned about it in school. However, I have never seen it in action, but once you see it in action, you're like, this stuff really happens. People, not that they don't care, but it's like I mentioned at the first in the first part of the video, when in public, don't assume someone's gonna hop in to save you. Alright, that's my story. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the video. It's a longer one, but hopefully people stick around to watch. If not for me, at least to learn about the bystander effect. Again, like the video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Be all for that. Deuces.